Hello, thanks for staying with us on BERNAMA today. It's still me, Lane Law, and in the studio I'm speaking to Geetha Kandiah. She's of course the Director of Trademarks and Designs Division for CAS International. And we have been on this series. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Elaine.
It's our final segment. We're talking about intellectual property. We started quite a few months back, actually.
Yeah, I think 2-3 months in April.
Yes, that's right. When IP Day was the first of the World IP Day, I think 26th of April, I do believe.
Yeah, spot on.
There you go. Not bad. And we went through a journey and we learned a little bit more about intellectual property in terms of copyrights, trademarks, patents, all that, you know. There's so much and so diverse in terms of that whole field.
So niche as well.
That's right. But I think we started this conversation because I think a lot of people are on social media, and one of the questions that we have today was online work. Now, do you then own the work that you publish online on the internet? So I think there's also a lot of platforms for this. So how do we start with this in terms of work on the internet? Where does it begin?
That's a very good question. It's a very deep question.
Yeah.
Work on the internet does encompass a lot. So it could be what you publish on your website. It could be what you publish on blogs, on forums. Social media. It could be images you're using.
Yes.
You're linking up to various articles.
Yeah.
So the starting point is, what are these works? So most of them are literary work, written work, and some are artistic, images, photography, good photography, drawings. So you're looking at mostly literary and artistic work. Sometimes there's music, there's videos that you're clipping in.
Yeah.
All these works enjoy copyright.
Right.
And who owns copyright? It's the person who creates them.
Okay.
So your blog posting, if you're writing how you feel today on your blogs or on social media, everyone writes about how they feel or what they went through. That's your rights.
Okay.
So if you've taken a photo that you've taken, you have rights in them.
Oh, okay.
It's called copyright. So you own exclusive rights to that copy.
You do, even though you've published it on the internet without any clause and without any, like, you know, trademark, patent,
sign symbols. Usually it's a C with a circle around it,
or
the copyright
TM,
symbol.
sometimes you see that.
TM's for the brand.
Right.
So even though you don't have any terms and conditions and you've posted it, you own the rights.
Okay, that's good to know.
But there's a big but.
Okay.
On your website, you own the rights and you have exclusive use to it.
On what website?
On your own website.
On your own website.
So let's say you own a company and you've published articles.
And it's on your own owned site.
Yes, you own that site.
You bought the site and then you posted it up.
That's right.
Okay.
So you own it and you have the rights to stop anybody from using it. For example, we had a client who had a competitor using an image that they took, our client took, and they found it on the competitor's website to show that we also do this kind of construction work.
Right, okay.
So if that's the case, that's a clear copyright infringement. You don't have permission to take the image that our client has, and that photograph was taken by them, and put it on your website. So there was a legal letter sent to them, and they stopped using the image wrongfully.
Okay.
But that's because it's their website. Social media, on the other hand, it's a whole other ball game. Social media guys have terms and conditions. How many of you actually read terms? Did you read terms and conditions?
No, not on social media. But I do read terms and conditions on things that I think are important, like you're signing and buying something, then you read the T&C. But when it's on social media, not so much. But
especially because it's so long.
Yes, and sometimes I think a lot of people get a little bit overwhelmed, flustered. Oh, I don't understand this, and you leave it be. But before we go into that, could I just clarify in terms of the website you were talking about, in terms of what you own on your website? Do you still own it if it's on a free website? Like, for example, you didn't pay for it, but you know, you can get from Blogspot or one of
WordPress.
those. WordPress.
Yeah, there's a lot of mechanisms where you can create your own website. The website is still yours though. You're just using various mechanisms to create a website.
Right.
It might be on someone else's server. That's fine. It's still
that's hosted by someone else, that you didn't pay for it, you didn't own it, that site of sorts, but you can claim that it's your site?
Most of the time that's the case. A lot of websites that exist these days are in that exact scenario. So no, you own the website, you still own the website, and you own all the material that you post on your website.
Because I think this would be a question that people out there would have when you say that own website. But if I don't pay for it, does it mean I still own it?
That's right. But I'm not talking about forums. So there's a Laoyat forum, there's various forums where you go and you're a contributor. You may comment on articles, you may post articles.
Like if I have elaine.wordpress.com. And it's what I take on, so I have rights for that.
That's right. You do.
Okay, all right.
So back to social media, it's the terms and conditions are such, and most of them have the same terms and conditions. So we've looked at YouTube, we've looked at Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all say that anything that you post online, images and articles or notes, you own the copyright. So you are the creator, you've posted it, you own the rights. But you are giving the social media platform the rights, perpetual rights, meaning forever. Non-exclusive, meaning that they and their subsidiaries can use it, and royalty-free license. So you give what? To do anything they wish with it.
Oh no! Wow.
So the clear example that everyone could relate to is if you love photography and you take a lot of beautiful photographs
and you post it on Facebook.
Post it on Facebook, they could create a calendar
using your pictures.
Yeah, without any compensation to you.
Right.
But
even your image of your face.
Yes. So that's an interesting thing, image of your face. We can talk about copyright. Copyright is a very interesting intellectual property right because the person who owns it is the person who created it.
Yeah.
So if I today take a photo of you, I own the copyright in that photograph.
Okay.
So in some countries, it becomes an issue because if it's a celebrity, the person who takes the photos own rights, but celebrities have image rights.
Right.
So there's interrelated rights. I can't simply go and publish it and use the photograph. Like Rihanna had an instance where her photograph was used in a Topshop clothes, it's a shirt, and she took an action against them because she said that I did not allow you to take a to use my photograph on your clothes.
Right.
There was no license fee. There was no endorsement of this.
But does that not apply to everyone? Does it only apply to celebrities? Because if you take a photo of me and then you didn't have my permission to publish it, to reuse it.
So image rights are very subjective. It's the reason I said celebrities is they have image rights. People know them. They're known in the industry. For us to claim that we have image rights, you are probably very famous, being on a talk show host, so you might have image rights. But I would beg to differ. So it depends on whether you're known to claim for image rights.
I see, because I thought the understanding was that every individual person, whether you're famous or you're not, you're on a public platform or you're not, you have privacy and individual rights to your own image.
So you have so image rights does not exist in Malaysia. So I have to clarify that.
There you go. Please take note.
Some countries have it, some don't.
Yeah, okay.
But we have privacy rights.
Right.
But if we are in a public forum and you then claim that you took my photos in private, that's not true. So where you're in a beauty pageant, and there has been a case where a beauty pageant's photo was used on various products without her permission, she couldn't claim privacy rights because you took part in a beauty pageant knowing there's going to be a lot of audience and it's a public forum. So privacy rights only come in if it's in a private scene, a private scenario where someone took your photos when it was a private event and then misused it.
Okay, so if, like, for example, I was sitting at a chicken rice shop and me and my friends were eating there and somebody took a random picture, posted it online, and we were part of that image and we don't want our picture to be used?
Yeah, it's difficult to actually take action against them because you're in a chicken rice shop, it's a public area. So it's I mean there are. So there's different areas of law. So we're talking very specifically on copyright, but like the reason, even though you don't have image rights in Malaysia, if you are famous or known in the market, in the scene, in your industry, people can misuse it for their benefit, for their to either for advertisement purposes or to increase market share in whatever they do. Some commercial gain. If there is some commercial gain, you can go under trademark law and say that they are passing off their business using your images, and there's a thin line saying that I'm associated to you and I've given you rights to use it. So that's other avenues that you can take an action, depending on the facts.
Right. I mean, this comes in the light, of course, the questions when, you know, in this week alone, we're talking about that Shell. There was an image of a attendant or the promotional picture of the cutout of the lady that was in the Shell station, and people were like, you know, abusing it, and of course it went viral and stuff like that. So we're wondering in terms of, because that person would not have been known prior, but I'm thinking that right now she would be. So, but the image itself, whether or not there are rights that they can claim to not being abused and misused in that light. So anyhow, like you were saying, Facebook, Twitter, most of the social media platforms, if you put up any content that you've taken, whether it's music, pictures, written literary work as well?
Yeah, that's right, literary work as well.
So if you post
you're giving them rights to do whatever they wish with it.
Okay.
Having said that, these clauses have been there for a long time and they haven't misused it.
But they can.
They just want to have their options open.
Right. Okay. So be wary of this. I mean, whatever that you post on will and can be used as they please.
As they please, yes.
Right.
Because you're giving them rights. So and the thing is, they say that you own rights, but you give us rights to do pretty much everything that we want with it.
So does it change if you do anything on your posting, that you do any claims on it? Does it make any difference?
No, it doesn't. Right. So the thing about acknowledgement of source, and that's what you probably mean, is a lot of people feel that if I use another person's article or excerpt from the article or an image or a graph, I'm using their graph and I want to analyze the graph, I just need to acknowledge the source.
Yeah, source from this website,
correct.
YouTube,
So, but acknowledgement of source doesn't give you rights to use it because what you actually need is permission, express permission from the other person to use it.
Okay.
The rule of thumb is if it's not yours, someone else does own it.
Right.
Do you have the permission to use it?
Right.
There are circumstances in the copyright law that allows people not to get permission, and that's for news. So BERNAMA, whatever you take, you're using it for news purposes. That's allowed. If you're making a parody, a caricature, you're making a joke out of it, you don't need to get permission. You're just taking the Mickey out of that thing. So that's allowed for research purposes, for education purposes. So very specifically, there are defenses. You're still infringing, but you have defense, and the defenses are that you're using it for these specific reasons that's allowed by the law.
Right. So what do you have to do in order for you to be able to use a source?
Get permission. It's the main thing is get permission. Acknowledging the source is not sufficient.
Right. So if there is no contact details available, that you search image and then you see an image.
Yeah. So we've had clients actually ask us this in the sense that I can't get hold of the person. How now? Then it's a risk. Whether do you proceed with just acknowledging source and taking it because you can't get hold of the person, but there's still infringement, or use another alternative. Take your own images. The best actually is to use your own images.
I have a quick one before we end. Is whether or not if the image is up and the owner comes forth and you take it down, would that then solve the matter?
Well, that usually solves the matter, but it depends on how long it's been up, depends on how much of profits you've reaped or whatever you've reaped from it. The other party still has a right to claim for damages, compensation.
Okay.
So, but usually things, if you take it down as soon as you find out it's someone else's and they're claiming rights, most of the time it ends there.
Right. So there is a possibility that they can do claims as well, even though you have taken
But down. Like earlier, the example of Rihanna, Rihanna wouldn't have just sat still saying, you've taken your stock away.
And it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's not.
Pay me the compensation. So it really is a case-to-case basis.
Because it's a commercial value that you have associated with it. Okay, understood. Thank you so much for the session, and I hope that everyone has learned quite a little bit in terms of intellectual property, copyrights, trademarks, whatever it is that's related to content. If you want to find out a little bit more, of course, you can contact Geetha's team, of course, at CAS International, and of course, you'll be able to find out a little bit more whether or not you have avenue to take legal action if there was any
how to protect your rights.
How to protect yourself, right? That's all the time that we have for this segment. We'll be taking a short breather right now. When we come back, we have more news to share with you. Stay tuned. It's been a pleasure.